All right, for the second lesson, we're going to start looking at the job results from the assembly jobs that we submitted. So let's go up here into workspaces and I'm going to click on my jobs. And that takes me to my job landing page. And let's first look at Unicycler. So I highlight the row and then I click on the view icon in the green action bar. And this opens the results for the assembly job. And you notice that, like, compared to some of the other things that we've looked at, these results are kind of sparse. And today we're going to concentrate on the assembly report. But before we get into that, I want you to note that this is the job ID. It ran pretty quickly. And once again, if you can't remember exactly what you did, you click on the parameters and open that, and it tells me I submitted this. It tells me that this was the recipe. It tells me that this is what I had it named, that it did these pylon iterations. Because it says 1, it means the reads were normalized. If it said 0, it would mean I turned that off. 1 under trim means that the reads were trimmed. So for this video, we're going to look at this guy, the assembly report.html. So we highlight it and then we click on the view icon. And this opens the assembly report. And the first thing you see is a bandage plot that's showing the scaffold that was generated and points where you could have long areas and points where there were some discrepancies. If we scroll down, it says the assembler we used was Unicycler, the amount of time it took to assemble. This was the command on the pipeline that it ran. And this is the version of Unicycler that was used. If you look at polishing, remember polishing builds a scaffold and then it reruns the reads against it to try to get some more depth or some more information in those areas that it can't cover very well. Remember, there were 2 rounds. So the first round, it made 4 changes and it took 21 seconds. In the second round, it made 12 changes and it took 19 seconds. And I know I said sometimes this takes a long time, sometimes it does, but apparently it didn't on this round. Now, this is the point to pay close attention because in your publication or wherever you're submitting the information about this particular assembly, you'll need to put in Unicycler and the version number because that's what generated the assembly. But often they're asking for depth and coverage. And the average depth under contig filtering for the short reads, 169.38. And the average short read coverage is 169.375. Now, if this was a hybrid assembly, it would also show you long read coverage and long read depth. But with these just had 2 paired reads. And these were the settings. The other settings that we had was we set the coverage at 5. And so the coverage is a lot better than 5, right? And the contig length at 300. And so then it says how many contigs were above those thresholds? 32. So this assembly using Unicycler is in 32 contigs. And this underneath is the cost report. And it's showing you the breakdown of all those things. For example, there were 10 contigs that were greater than 50,000 base pairs. But all in all, there were 32 that it says were greater than 0. But remember, we have that cutoff of 300, so it's better than that. And it's telling us the largest contig size. So for your manuscript, if you're going to publish this, you're going to need the assembly pipeline, the number of contigs, the depth, and the coverage. So don't forget that. And if we go down here, it'll tell us some other things. Trim galore was used to trim the reads. And normalization It was BB norm. So you could put that in your publication as well. And here's the other information on that. So remember those numbers, 32 contigs and this depth and this coverage. And now we're going to look at the spades file. So I'm going to click on my jobs here and I'm going to go to spades and view that. And we want to look at the same assembly report. So I'm going to click on this and click on view. And here is the bandage plot. Oh, do you see all this small stuff down here? This is an indication of a lot more contigs, a lot of small contigs that it couldn't join. So let's look at this. We're going to scroll down. It's just telling us that this one ran spades. Then it's telling us the polishing rounds. There were two, like with unicycler. The first one made 55 changes. The second one made 14 changes. And then let's go into here, the average depth, really 138, and the average coverage, 149. So look at the number of contigs, 280. Remember, the unicycler is less, much less, 32. So from my perspective, unicycler is giving me a better assembly than spades. But, you may have other different parameters. And it's showing you the largest contig, but the 280, that's pretty small. And it did trimming and normalization, and it's giving us some of the information on that. So those are the differences between the two of them at the assembly report. In the next video, we'll go over the rest of the job files that are produced. Bye.